Okay. Wait for some more people to come in. Okay. And I will start. I will start. So I am going to be reading from the CSB version. I'm going to be reading from the CSB version. And then I'm going to end it with Proverbs 31, verse 10 to 31 in the book, in the NIV version. So that's what I'll be doing. But yeah, welcome. I will be reading the book of Ruth. I'll be reading the book of Ruth today, and it's really just coming off the theme of the women in the Bible. I spoke about Rahab on Tuesday and gave a little bit of an introduction on who Rahab was. And next, oh sorry, I've got something on. Hey Ron, got something on my eye. Hey sweet, thank you for coming through. Yes, I am continuing that, the women in the Bible. So next we have the book of Ruth, and again it's just highlighting another woman who was strong in strength with her walk with God. So that's basically what we're going to be doing, reading the book of Ruth. So I'll just give you a little bit of like a theme. I usually do like a theme that I read, a theme that I attach to my reading. So Ruth is set during the times of Judges. So we've read Judges, and we read all the judges that God had risen up to get the Israelites out of oppression. So this is during that time. And remember, when we got to the end of Judges, it was said that the people were doing as they were doing fit in their own eyes. They was doing as their own please. They didn't have a king at this time, nor did they have a judge, I believe, at that time. So they was doing whatever they wanted as they pleased. So Ruth is set during the times of Judges, and the theme, there's many things, but I did want to focus on one theme. So the themes are faithfulness, grace, kindness, loyalty, redemption, love, hope, femininity, faith, and patience. And I think I want to focus on faithfulness. Ruth's faithfulness to Naomi, and Ruth's faithfulness to Naomi, and Ruth's faithfulness to God. So I'm going to start reading. Thank you for the like. So I'm going to start reading in the book of Ruth, and as I said, I am reading in the CSB. I'm reading in the CSB version. So yeah, this is Ruth chapter 1. During the time of the judges, there was a famine in the land. A man left Bethlehem in Judah with his wife and 2 sons to stay in the territory of Moab for a while. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife's name was Naomi. The names of his sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Euphrates. Ephrathites from Bethlehem in Judah. They entered the fields of Moab and settled there. Naomi's husband Eli- Eli- Elimelech died, and she was left with her two sons. Her son, her sons took Moabite women as their wives. One was named Orpah, and the second was named Ruth. After they lived in Moab about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, and the woman was left without her two children and without her husband. She and her daughters-in-law set out to return from the territory of Moab because she had heard in Moab that the Lord had paid attention to his people's need by providing them food. She left the place where she had been living, accompanied by her two daughters-in-law, and traveled along the road leading back to the land of Judah. Naomi said to them, "Each of you go back to your mother's home. May the Lord show kindness to you as you have shown to the dead and to me. May the Lord grant each of you rest in the house of a new husband." She kissed them, and they wept loudly. They said to her, "We insist on returning with you to your people." But Naomi replied, "Return home, my daughters. Why do you want to go with me? Am I able to have any more sons who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. Go on, for I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me to have a husband tonight and to bear sons, would you be willing to wait for them to grow up? Would you restrain yourselves from remarrying? No, my daughters. My life is much too bitter for you to share, because the Lord has turned his hand against me." Again they wept loudly, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. Naomi said, "Look, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth replied, "Don't plead with me to abandon you or to return and not to follow. For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me and do so severely, if anything but death separates you and me." So I just want to point out, Ruth's loyalty to Naomi is commendable, right? Because she's all in, she has faith in whatever happens and accepting God, right? She's accepting God and having faith in their journey in Judah and whatever happens there. So, she was willing to follow the God of Israel, right? And leave everything that she had known behind and follow Naomi on this journey, right? Which is absolutely amazing. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped talking to her. The two of them traveled until they came to Bethlehem. When they entered Bethlehem, the whole town was excited about their arrival, and the local women exclaimed, "Can this be Naomi?" "Don't call me Naomi, call me Mara," she answered, "for the Almighty has made me very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has opposed me and the Almighty has afflicted me?" So Naomi came back from the territory of Moab with her daughter-in-law Ruth the Moabites. They arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Chapter 2. Now Naomi had a relative on her husband's side. He was a prominent man of noble character from Elimelech's family. His name was Boaz. Ruth the Moabite asked Naomi, "Will you let me go into the fields and gather falling grain behind someone with whom I find favor?" Naomi asked her, Go ahead, my daughter. So Ruth left and entered the field to gather grain behind the harvesters. She happened to be in the portion of the field belonging to Boaz, who was from Eliamelech's family. Later, when Boaz arrived from Bethlehem, he said to the harvesters, "The Lord be with you." "The Lord bless you," they replied. Boaz asked his servants, who was in charge of the harvesters, Who, whose young woman is this?" The servant answered, "She is the young Moabite woman who returned with Naomi from the territory of Moab." She asked, "Will you let me gather falling grain from among the bundles behind the harvesters?" She came and has been on her feet since early morning, except she wrestled a little in the shelter. She rested a little in the shelter. Then Boaz said to Ruth, "Listen, my daughter, don't go and gather grain in another field, and don't leave this one, but stay here close to my female servants. See which field they are harvesting, and follow them. Haven't I ordered the young men not to touch you? When you are thirsty, go and drink from the jars the young men have filled." Never mind. So, when I read this bit here about Boaz, I immediately thought like what a leader Boaz is, right? What a protector, because what he's doing here is showing, he's giving Ruth provisions, and you know he's been a reflection of a man of God, right? He is showing the fruits of God. He's showing his kindness. He's showing that he's a protector. He's showing that he's a provider, right? And basically saying like, don't go anywhere else, Ruth. I've got you covered. I am going to look after you, basically, which is amazing. This basically, when we was doing the rehab, when I was talking about Rahab, and her introduction, and how God gave her salvation, right, and gave her protection and gave her provisions, right? This is kind of the same thing that Boaz is embodying, right? He is giving all this kindness to Ruth, who was a Moabite, and as we knew, Rahab was a Canaanite woman, but God still found favor in them no matter where they came from, right? So this is again Boaz showing favor to her, even though she's a Moabite woman. She fell face down, bowed to the ground, and said to him, "Why have I found favor with you, so that you notice me, although I am a foreigner?" Boaz answered her, "Everything you have done for your mother-in-law since your husband's death has been fully reported to me. How you left your father and mother and your native land, and how you came to a people you didn't previously know. May the Lord reward you for what you have done, and may you receive a full reward from the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings you come for refuge." So, in this Bible, there is a little devotional, right? And I just want to read this little bit because it just puts into words it puts it better into words that I could have said, right? But I understand what I was trying to say, but this perfectly embodies it. So it says here, but Christ loves, but Christ loves, but Christ loves lifts our heads and tells us who we are in him. We are his. We are not empty, and we are certainly not foreigners. We're covered by the blood of Christ and adopted into the family of God. Like Ruth, we are now blood relatives of Jesus, and nothing can undo that. Boaz was God's provision for Ruth. Jesus is God's provision for us. So we take a Ruth's blessing from Boaz as our own. May we receive a full reward from the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings we have come for refuge. Amen. Right? Amen. May my Lord, she said, I have found favor with you, for you have comforted and encouraged your servants, although I am not like one of your female servants. At mealtime, Boaz told her, "Come over and have some bread and dip it in the vinegar sauce." So she sat beside the harvesters, and he offered her roasted grain. She ate and was satisfied and had some left over. She got up to gather grain. Boaz ordered his young man, "Let her even gather grain among the bundles, and don't humiliate her. Pull out some stalks from the bundles for her and leave them for her to gather. Don't rebuke her." So Ruth gathered grain in the field until evening. She beat out what she had gathered, and it was about 26 quarters of barley. She picked up the grain and went into the town where her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She brought out what she had left over from her meal and gave it to her. Her mother-in-law said to her, "Where did you gather barley today, and where did you work? May the Lord bless the man who noticed you." Ruth told her mother-in-law whom she had worked with and said, the name of the man I worked today with was Boaz." Then Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "May the Lord bless him, because he has not abandoned his kindness to the living or the dead." Naomi continued, "The man is a close relative. He is one of our family redeemers." Ruth the Moabite said, "He also told me, 'Stay with my young men until they have finished all of my harvest.'" So Naomi said to her daughter-in-law Ruth, "My daughter, is it good for you to work with my daughter, it is good for you to work with his female servants so that nothing will happen to you in another field." Ruth stayed close to Boaz's female servants and gathered grain until the barley and the wheat harvest were finished, and she lived with her mother-in-law. Chapter 3. Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, "My daughter, shouldn't I find rest for you so that you will be taken care of? Now, isn't Boaz our relative? Haven't you been working with his female servants? This evening he will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume oil, and wear your best clothes. Go down to the threshing floor, but don't let the man know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, notice the place where he is lying. Go in and uncover his feet and lie down. Then he will explain to you what you should do." So Ruth said to her, "I will do everything you say." Is that on? Thank you, guys. "I will do everything you say," right? You see, Ruth's trust, Ruth's obedience is so inspiring. And when I was reading this and I was sitting there, I was like, yes, Ruth is oozing femininity, right? She is a God-fearing woman. She can take instructions, right? She didn't hesitate in what Naomi said, right? She just got straight on with it. And that just shows how much trust she put in Naomi, right? Which, again, is also putting her trust in God. She went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law had charged her to do. After Boaz ate, drank, and was in good spirits, he went to lie down at the end of the pile of barley. And she came secretly and covered his feet and lay down. At midnight, Boaz was startled, turned over, and there laying at his feet was a woman. So he asked, "Who are you?" "I am Ruth, your servant," she replied. "Take me under your wing, for you are a family redeemer." Then he said, "May the Lord bless you, my daughter. You have shown more kindness now than before, because you have not pursued younger men, whether rich or poor. Now don't be afraid, my daughter. I will do for you whatever you say, since all the people in my town know that you are a woman of a noble character." A noble character, right? What is the meaning of noble? A life of integrity, moral excellence, spiritual maturity, rooted in the fear of the Lord, right? A Proverbs 31 woman, right? And Ruth is really showing, her softness, what it is to be a woman of God, right? And I really love that because it just sets the standard of what it is to follow God as a woman and to have these fruits, to bear these good fruits, right, of kindness, love, gentleness, softness, all of that. Yes, it is true that I am a family redeemer, but there is a redeemer closer than I am. They stay here tonight and in the morning. If he wants to redeem you, that's good. Let him redeem you. But if he doesn't want to redeem you, as the Lord lives, I will. Now lay down until morning. So she lay down at his feet until morning, but got up while it was still dark. Then Boaz said, "Don't let it be known that a woman came to the threshing floor." And he told Ruth, "Bring the shawl you're wearing and hold it out." When she held it out, he shoveled 6 meters of barley into her shawl, and she went into the town. She went to her mother-in-law Naomi, who asked her, "What happened, my daughter?" Then Ruth told her everything the man had done for her. She said, "He gave me 6 measures of barley because he said, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Naomi said, "My daughter, wait until you find out how things go, for he won't rest unless he resolves this today." Chapter 4. Hey Nick, thank you for coming through. Chapter 4. Boaz went to the gate of the town and sat down there. Soon the family redeemer Boaz had spoken about came by. Boaz said, "Come over here and sit down." So he went over and sat down. Then Boaz took 10 of the men elders and said, "Sit here." And they sat down. He said to the Redeemer, "Naomi, who has returned from the territory of Moab, is selling the portion of the field that belonged to our brother Elimelech. I thought I should inform you. Buy it back in the presence of those seated here, and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you want to redeem it, do it. But if you do not want to redeem it, tell me so, that I will know, because there isn't anyone other than you to redeem it, and I am next after you." "I want to redeem it," he answered. Then Boaz said, "On the day you buy the field from Naomi, you will require Ruth the Moabite, the wife of the deceased man, to perpetuate the man's name on his property." The Redeemer replied, "I can't redeem myself, or I will ruin my own inheritance. Take my right of redemption, because I can't redeem it." As an earlier period in Israel, a man removed his sandal and gave it to the other party in order to make any matter legally binding concerning the right of redemption or the exchange of property. This was the method of legally binding a transaction in Israel. So the Redeemer moved his sandal and said to Boaz, "Buy back the property yourself." And I just want to say how selfless Boaz was, right? Because the other redeemer was like, "No, I am not going to redeem Naomi, because if I have to redeem Ruth as well, then my bloodline is wiped out, right? My bloodline is wiped out." And he was basically saying, "I don't want no parts of that. Like, I want to keep my bloodline, so you take care of that and you be the redeemer," right? And Boaz, as a man of God, right, a noble character, right, has said, "I will be the redeemer. I will redeem Naomi. I will redeem Ruth, and I will make sure that Naomi's bloodline and Ruth's bloodline continues on right through him." So I just think that is so amazing that he took that on, knowing what comes with being a redeemer, right? And that can only be a selfless man, a righteous man, right? Character in taking that on. So the Redeemer removed his sandal and said to Boaz, buy back the property yourself. Boaz said to the elders and all the people, you are witness today that I am buying from Naomi everything that belonged to Elimelech, uh, Elimelech, Shilion, and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth the Moabites, Marlon's widow, as my wife to perpetuate the deceased man's name on his property so that his name will not disappear among his relatives or from the gate of his hometown. You are witnesses today. All the people who were at the city gate, including the elders, said, we are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is entering your house like Rachel and Leah, who together built the house of Israel. May you be powerful in Uriah, and your name well known in Bethlehem. May your house become like the house of Perez, the son of Tamar, bore to Judah. Because of the offspring the Lord will give you by this young woman. Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. He slept with her, and the Lord granted conception to her, and she gave birth to a son. The woman said to Naomi, blessed be the Lord, who has not left you without a family redeemer today. May his name become well known in Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age. Indeed, your daughter-in-law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him. Naomi took the child, placed him on her lap, and became a mother to him. The neighbor woman said, a son has been born to Naomi, and they named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. So I just want to see, I just want to say, you see that how there is a bigger picture, right? Just like how Rahab managed to change the course of her life and became a descendant of the Messiah, right? Um, the same happened with Ruth. Because she was obedient, because she had faith, because she was willing to follow Naomi and give everything up that she had known and follow Naomi's way, follow God's way, right? God showed her favor because God could see her heart. God could see that she was willing. God could see that she was trying, right? And that she really was trying to be loyal, right? And her loyalty showed with following Naomi. So it just shows the course that God can take you on, right? He can transform your life. He can change the course of your life for the better. And in this scenario, he's able to redeem Ruth. He's able to redeem Naomi, and also start off David's bloodline, right? So it ends here with a genealogy from Judah's son. Now these are the family recorded of Perez. Perez fathered Hezron. Hezron fathered Ram. Ram fathered Amminadab. Amminadab fathered Nashon. Nashon fathered Salmon. Salmon fathered Boaz, which was Salmon and Rahab. Salmon fathered Boaz. Boaz fathered Obed. Obed fathered Jesse, and Jesse fathered David. So you just see how the course of the bloodline change. So I'm going to end this out with Proverbs 31, but I really just want to touch on some things, right? I just want to say that Naomi was a woman of virtue, right? A woman of virtue. She had so much wisdom. She had so much grace. She had so much humility. She had so much love. And this is why we followed her wholeheartedly, right? Because she could see this in her. And it's all about setting a good example, a standard for other women, I guess, you know, to possess, to have these characters, right? To get these fruits, these good fruits that are shown within this woman Naomi. And you know, even in the struggle, they still believed in God. Right? W Ruth, Rome. W Ruth. Even in the struggle, they believed in God. And you know, Ruth saw God's work in Naomi, right? And I think that's another thing that helped Ruth as well, you know. What does this say about God? God is a loving and compassionate God, one who shows grace in hard times, you know, showing his blessings. And, you know, even in a season of, even in a season where it's uncertain yet, God can redeem those in times of sadness. And as you can see, he redeemed Ruth and he redeemed Naomi, right? He gave them Boaz, right? Which Boaz opened his hands and welcomed Ruth with open arms, despite her being a Moabite woman, showing how God can save and transform people's hearts and their lives, right? This is showing also God's character and what he can do in people's lives, right? And also, you know, Boaz was a reflection of God and he showed love to others who were outsiders, right? Just like we who follow Christ, we should be showing love to each other, right? Love thy neighbor, right? Love thy neighbor like you love God, right? Love thy neighbor like you love yourself, right? So we should be showing love to others and accepting people and welcome them in, just like how God has redeemed us and saved us and gave us salvation. You know, he's shown us kindness, we show kindness. And God shows his generosity, we should show our generosity too, right? So the theme was faithfulness, right? So this all leads back to faith and trusting God's plan and what he has for our lives, for us to keep being obedient, right? And God blessed Ruth because of her faithfulness, because of her faith, because she was willing to listen to the instructions of what Naomi said, right? Um, so, you know, Ruth was redeemed by God and by Boaz as well. So um, I'm gonna read Proverbs 31:10 to 31, and this is the wife of a noble character. A wife of a noble character who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it's still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hands she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes covering for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks wisdom and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. So I just think that's so amazing. That is so amazing. And again, Ruth story shows again a woman that was probably not significant in those times in Judges, right? Go girl, right, go girl, go girl. um and even in, as I said, even in sad times, even in hard times, even in suffering, God has a plan for you. God has a plan for you, right? And he will redeem you. The world may reject you, but God will redeem you. He will give you that peace. He will give you that love. He will give you that kindness, right? So I'm just going to end it there. I know this is a short one because it is it's a short story, but even though it is a short story, it's packed with so much goodness, right? That there's so much that we can take away from this in terms of God's character, in terms of the standards that we should be setting as children of God, and how we should be operating daily in kindness and love and all that above. So thank you for those who came out and listened. Thank you for those who liked. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure to be able to speak about the women in the Bible, Rahab and Ruth. So W Rahab, W Ruth. Thank you for being such courageous and amazing women, and thank you for being obedient. Thank you for being God-fearing women. Thank you for setting the standard of what it is to be a Proverbs 31 woman, a true Proverbs 31 woman. So I'm gonna leave it there. Next, we'll be going on to the book of John, which is the Gospels. Yes, we will be, because I want to, you know, speak about Jesus's character and, introduce Jesus, and then we'll go back to Samuel's in the Old Testament. But I think it's a good, I think it'll be a good break up to just get to know about Jesus. As we read on, you can start to see Jesus in the Bible as we read each book in the Old Testament. Thank you, Nish. You are welcome, Rome. Thank you. I will be back on Saturday. I'll be back on Saturday in the book of John. And thank you again for all that came out. I just want to give God all the glory and all the praises. Thank you. It wouldn't be possible without him. I wouldn't be able to sit here and do this in front of you guys, in front of this camera. So all praises and glory to the Most High. So I'll see you on Saturday. Bye.